They laughed when she spoke, because her voice no longer sounded like theirs. They mocked her, rejected her. But the same voice they ridiculed soon echoed through the halls of power. Because when the president sent a convoy to her village, the same people who laughed fell to their knees. Beloved, if this story has already stirred something in your heart, please don't scroll away. This is more than a tale. It is a journey of cultural pride, emotional rise, and a woman who never forgot where she came from, even when the world changed her voice. Stay with me to the end because this story will not only inspire you, it will remind you why your roots matter. Let's dive deep into the powerful story of Ngozi Chima. Please subscribe and turn on your notifications button. Ngozi was born under the sound of midnight rain. Her mother Ijeoma used to say, "Rain is the sound of blessing. That's why your life will never lack." Growing up in Obeledu was a mix of beauty and struggle. She helped her father at the farm, fetched water from the stream, and danced in the village square during New Yam festivals. She was loved, until life asked her to go away. At 15, a scholarship came from nowhere. One American missionary who had visited their church saw the spark in her eyes. He said, "This girl, she belongs in the world of science. I want to sponsor her." It wasn't easy convincing her parents. "She will forget us," her uncle said. "She will come back with strange hair and stranger thoughts," her grandmother muttered. But her mother believed. She packed Ngozi's things, wept as she held her daughter tightly and whispered, "Don't forget who you are." The journey abroad. The plane ride was the first taste of a new world. She didn't understand the accent of the air hostesses. She didn't know what cranberry juice was. She didn't know how to use the seatbelt. But she learned. In the US, she battled racism, struggled to afford warm clothes, cried silently in cold dorm rooms when the food tasted like cardboard. But she read, she studied, she excelled. By the time she was 25, she had 3 degrees, 2 in biomedical engineering, 1 in global health. People called her Dr. Chima. White doctors listened when she spoke. Tech giants flew her in to speak at global conferences. She was winning. But deep inside, she missed the sound of pounding yam, the smell of red oil soup, and the rhythm of the talking drum. So when her foundation for rural health was ready, she knew where to begin, home. Back to the village. Ngozi's first step into the village after 10 years was like entering a memory. Children she left as toddlers now ran past her in school uniforms. The same mud house she grew up in still stood, leaning a bit more but still strong. Her mother hugged her like a long-lost treasure. But the village had changed. People now had phones, some had satellite dishes. Yet the mindset, still tied to suspicion and mockery. When she tried to explain her foundation's vision, building a solar-powered health center, equipping young girls with STEM skills, and providing clean water, the elders laughed. Her accent, that was their problem. "Talk like us, let us understand," one snapped. She tried. But years of speaking English in foreign lands had shaped her speech. She didn't mean to sound different. Still the laughter stung. She went to her room and cried that night. Not because they rejected her but because they forgot who she was. The turning point. 2 days later she met little Adiz. A 10-year-old girl with fire in her eyes and dreams in her soul. But her school lacked textbooks. Her uniform was torn. And her mother had just died of typhoid because the local clinic had no drugs. Ngozi wept when she heard that. "This is why I came," she whispered. That night she drafted a report, sent it to her NGO board in America, requested emergency funding. Then she made a bold move. She wrote a letter, directly to the office of the President of Nigeria. She included photos, testimonies, and a proposal for a national rural health partnership. When the convoy came, happened 1 week later, just as the market women were arguing over pepper prices, and the village boys played draft under the tree, they heard sirens. First they thought someone died. Then they saw the flags, the seal of the Federal Republic, 10 SUVs, fully armed escort, media vans. Everyone ran out. phones in hand, mouths wide open. Then came the question that shook the square. Where is Dr. Ngozi Chima? She stepped forward. The same people who laughed now pushed their children forward to greet her. Her accent, no longer a problem, because now it carried power. The president had watched her speech online. He had read her letter, and he wanted her in Abuja. She was to be honored with the National Medal of Innovation in Health and Science. From mockery to honor. The next morning her story trended nationwide. Hashtag Ngozi Chima. Hashtag from village to global. Hashtag accent of change. People celebrated her journey. Young girls called her their role model. She was interviewed on TV, radio, and featured in global health magazines. But her greatest joy, when the village chiefs came to her house with goats, yams, and kola nut. Forgive us, daughter, the eldest one said. We were blind, but your light has opened our eyes. Ngozi sat alone that night under the mango tree beside her late father's grave. The moon cast silver shadows, and the village was unusually quiet. She could still hear the echoes of the day's celebration. Children had danced, women sang her praises, and the elders had swallowed their pride with fufu and palm wine. But inside her, a strange silence sat. Her name was now on the lips of governors, international donors, and the president himself. Yet she couldn't stop thinking about the little girl, ZITA'S, who had inspired her return. God, she whispered, looking at the stars, don't let them forget why I came back. Don't let me forget either. 3 days later, she arrived in Abuja. The official vehicle that picked her up from the airport had tinted windows, government flags, and polite security men who addressed her as Ma. She was taken to the Transcorp Hilton where a full presidential suite awaited her. Fresh roses, a platter of native delicacies, and a golden envelope with the presidential seal. Dr. Ngozi Chima, welcome back home. You carry not just knowledge, but the heartbeat of a nation. We are proud of you. President Ibrahim D. Bello. Ngozi held the letter to her chest and fought back tears. In less than 2 weeks, the same country that once made her parents doubt her journey, now rolled out its red carpet. A surprise at the award ceremony. The hall was filled with important people, ministers, senators, tech founders, and pressmen. But as she stepped forward to receive her medal, her heart skipped. Because in the crowd she saw Chief Amadi, the very elder who mocked her accent first. And beside him was Mama Kazoba, the woman who had once said Ngozi would return with demonic Western spirit. Now they clapped, cheered, beamed with pride. Ngozi didn't feel anger. She felt something deeper. Redemption. She took the microphone, adjusted it, and began. I was born in Obeledu village, where yam festivals fed our stomachs and stories fed our spirits. I left as a girl. I return as a woman who still belongs to the soil that raised her. You once mocked my accent, but I know now. My voice may sound different, but my message is still African. And this medal, it is for every little girl who has ever been told she is too much or not enough. Thank you, Nigeria. The standing ovation lasted 4 full minutes. Chapter 3. Betrayal behind the applause. But success draws shadows. 2 days after her award she received a call. Ngozi, please come quickly. ZITA'S is missing. The line went dead. She packed her things, ignored her meetings, and flew back to the village. When she got there, panic ruled the air. ZITA'S grandmother sobbed uncontrollably. The police had done nothing. I no get money to bribe them, the old woman cried. Ngozi's mind raced. ZITA'S had once told her, there's one man that always watches me from the bush path. He scares me. No one listened then. Now the child was gone. Ngozi used her connections. She contacted a private security firm in Abuja. Within hours, drones were flying over the nearby forest. Within 48 hours, a location pinged. A small abandoned building 5 miles outside the village. ZITA'S was there. Half-starved. Terrified. Tied with rope. The culprit. A local political thug working for Chief Hugo, a man who secretly opposed Ngozi's health initiative. Why? Because her projects would expose the fake bills and money laundering he had done using phantom health centers that never existed. ZITA'S was kidnapped to scare Ngozi, to chase her out. But they didn't know she had come home to stay. Ngozi didn't keep quiet. She gathered evidence, recorded testimonies, and brought it all to the Presidential Task Force on Anti-Corruption. 2 weeks later, Chief Hugo was arrested. The news spread like wildfire. Chief who mocked Ngozi now behind bars. For the first time in decades, Obeledu village saw justice served. ZITA'S was now safe. Ngozi enrolled her in a private school. And as part of her NGO's new policy, she installed security units across every community she worked with. But beyond the applause, she was also growing tired. Fame brought pressure. Politics brought enemies. Even some villagers who praised her now demanded their share of the funding. When family wounds cut deep. In the middle of this storm, an unexpected visitor knocked on her door. It was her cousin, Ifani. They had grown up together, climbing mango trees, playing 10-10 under the moon. But now his eyes carried bitterness. You think you're better than all of us now, right? Big doctor. Government pet, he spat. Ifani, I'm still Ngozi. No, you're not. You left and forgot us. I asked you for a job. You ignored me. I didn't ignore you. I needed someone with experience. You didn't even show up for the training session. He slammed his palm on the table. Your mother is building houses, wearing gold wrapper. Your name is everywhere. But here we are, struggling to eat. Ngozi's chest tightened. She had never meant to make others feel small. She had only wanted to give back. But now even her family felt forgotten. A humbling return. That night she removed her wig, washed off the makeup, put on a wrapper and walked barefoot to the village stream. She met women there, washing clothes, whispering, watching her. She walked to them, sat on a stone, picked up a cloth and began to scrub. First they were shocked. Then one woman said softly, "You still know how to do this?" She smiled. "I never forgot. I only paused." They laughed. And slowly, her image in the village changed from too big to still ours. Legacy begins. Months passed. Ngozi built the first ever rural science lab powered entirely by solar energy. She trained over 200 young girls in coding, medicine, and mechanical engineering. She partnered with universities abroad to offer virtual scholarships. But the best day was when ZITA'S, now 12, stood at the village square and spoke. My name is ZITA'S. I was once lost. But Dr. Ngozi found me, not just physically, but she found my dream. One day I'll be a doctor too. I will save girls like she saved me. Tears flowed freely. From mothers, from elders, even from Chief Ahmadi. National Anthem of Change. The government declared October 12th as Rural Girl Empowerment Day, in honor of Ngozi's work. Her name was now a curriculum topic in schools. Books were written, documentaries produced, songs composed in her dialect. But for Ngozi, none of it mattered more than walking through her village and seeing fewer sick children, more girls in uniforms, and boys who now respected women's voices. The same people who once laughed at her accent, now tried to imitate it. And she had learned to laugh with them. Because healing doesn't always come through revenge. Sometimes it comes through rising so high that your success becomes their mirror. When Ngozi arrived in Geneva, she wasn't alone. She brought ZITA'S, now 13 and already conducting science experiments. She brought Mama Ijeoma, her mother, who had never stepped on a plane before. As the plane touched down, Mama whispered, "You carried this whole village on your shoulders, and now you've carried us into the skies." Ngozi smiled, holding her mother's wrinkled hands. "Mama, we all flew together." The conference hall was packed. The moment her name was called, the crowd stood. She walked in wearing a beautifully embroidered Ankara dress, her natural afro wrapped in traditional beads. And when she spoke, she didn't try to hide her accent anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, I speak to you not just as Dr. Ngozi Chima, but as a daughter of a village that once doubted me. They laughed at how I spoke. But today that same voice has built hospitals. I dedicate this award to every African child who has ever been told, "You're not enough. You are more than enough. Your roots are your wings." The room thundered with applause. Back home, trouble brews. As celebrations grew abroad, envy grew at home. One of Ngozi's former board members, Mr. Dibia, began to plot. He had once helped her draft funding proposals. Now, filled with jealousy and entitlement, he accused her publicly of mismanaging funds. News headlines screamed, "Village hero or fund fraud. NGO whistleblower raises alarm." People who once cheered began to question. Social media turned into a battlefield. Ngozi, calm as always, refused to be shaken. Let the audit speak. She hired a neutral international firm. After weeks of deep digging, the results came out. Every dollar, every naira, counted for. Mr. Dibia was exposed for having tried to divert funds secretly to a fake supplier company. He was arrested. Her name cleared. And this time the headlines shouted. She came with clean hands. Dr. Ngozi vindicated. A private storm. The letter from her father. One rainy evening, her mother handed her an old envelope. "Your father wrote this before he died," Mama whispered. She opened it with trembling fingers. "My dearest Ngozi, if you ever feel lost in a world that tries to silence you, come back to this letter. I knew you were different the day you asked why the sky doesn't fall. I didn't have answers then. But I see the answers now in the woman you've become. Let no mockery stop you. You are my pride. And your voice will echo across nations." She held the letter against her chest, letting the tears fall. Even from the grave, her father's voice gave her strength. Empowering the next generation. A year passed. Ngozi launched Echo Voices, a program teaching rural children how to speak boldly, whether their English was perfect or local. "I don't care if you pronounce it water or wata," she said. "What matters is what you use your voice for." She took her campaign from Nigeria to Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, even to slums in India and refugee camps in South Sudan. And everywhere she went, she told her story. "They mocked my accent. But now I use it to change lives." Unexpected love. In the midst of her movement, someone re-entered her life. Uka, a boy she had once sat beside in church as a teenager, now a journalist and documentary filmmaker. He came to film her work for a BBC special titled, Roots and Revolution, The Voice of Ngozi. Their connection was instant, not rushed, not forced, but deep, spiritual. He didn't fall for her success. He loved her soul, and he respected her voice. For the first time, Ngozi allowed herself to rest in love, a love that didn't demand she shrink. A sad goodbye. Mama Igioma's last dance. Months later, as plans were ongoing for Ngozi's birthday celebration, Mama Igioma fell ill. Doctors diagnosed her with late-stage heart failure. Ngozi flew her to the best hospital in Lagos. She stayed by her bedside every day. One night, Mama held her daughter's hand and whispered, "I told them you were born in the rain because you would never lack. I didn't know you would become rain for others too." She passed peacefully that night. Ngozi wept for days. But when she returned to the village to bury her, over 2,000 people showed up. Adiz spoke. "We're not just burying Mama Igioma. We're burying the woman who first believed in our Ngozi." Legacy solidified. The Ngozi Chima Institute. 2 years after returning home, Ngozi founded the Ngozi Chima Institute for Rural Excellence. It was more than a school. It was a sanctuary, equipped with labs, libraries, smart classrooms, traditional art studios, and native language sections. Students learned coding in the morning, then folklore storytelling in the evening. They were trained not to abandon their roots in the name of progress. They were taught that accents don't define intelligence. Ngozi would walk the halls, barefoot sometimes, laughing with the children and reminding them, "Speak however your mouth can. What matters is what comes out of your heart." The village's final apology. At the grand opening of the institute, the entire village leadership knelt, and offered a formal public apology. The same chief who once led the mockery said, "Our eyes were blind, but your light opened them. You didn't just return, you returned us to ourselves. Forgive us, daughter." Ngozi wept, but not because of their apology, because she had already forgiven them. Final scene. Sitting with ZITA'S. One evening, Ngozi sat with ZITA'S on the same mango stone her father once carved. ZITA'S, now confident, eloquent, and free, asked, "Auntie, why didn't you ever try to change how you spoke?" Ngozi smiled, brushing the girl's hair. "Because the world already tries to change us enough. I chose to let the world hear me, exactly as I am." My dear beloved viewers, as we end this chapter of Ngozi's story, I want you to carry this truth with you. You are enough. Your voice matters, even if it trembles. Your dreams are valid, even if others can't see them yet. And your beginning, no matter how mocked or humble, can never define your destination. You are powerful. You are beautiful. You are rising, and I see you. I thank you for walking through every word with me. You're not just viewers, you're my family. And every like, every comment, every share, it lifts me the way Ngozi lifted her village. I bless you today with peace that cannot be shaken, with wisdom that cannot be silenced, with love that finds you and never leaves. May doors open for you, silent ones and golden ones. May the same God that carried Ngozi from mockery to medals, lift you from pain to purpose, from rejection to recognition. Until we meet again in next story. With all my love, yours truly, Zita.